Thursday, June 25th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. CNN. 1.1. U.S. Senate passes resolution to curb Trump's war powers on Iran. The United States Senate has successfully passed a war powers resolution aimed at restricting President Donald Trump's authority to launch further military operations against Iran without explicit congressional approval. In a highly significant bipartisan rebuke, 4 Republican senators crossed party lines, reflecting profound underlying tensions regarding executive overreach in foreign conflicts. This legislative maneuver functions as a strategic boundary set by the legislature to mitigate the risks of uncalculated escalation in the Middle East. Analysts suggest that by constraining the executive branch, Congress is inherently recalibrating the leverage the United States holds in the ongoing peace negotiations taking place in Switzerland. Consequently, any future aggressive posturing will necessitate rigorous congressional scrutiny, effectively shifting the paradigm of U.S.-Iran diplomatic strategies. Vocabulary. Resolution. Noun. 결의안, 결단. The Senate passed a joint resolution on foreign policy. Curb. Verb. 억제하다, 제한하다. The government introduced new laws to curb inflation. Explicit. Adjective. 명시적인, 분명한. He gave explicit instructions on how to complete the task. Bipartisan. Adjective. 양당의, 초당적인. The bill received strong bipartisan support in Congress. Rebuke. Noun. 힐책, 비난. The board delivered a stern rebuke to the CEO. Maneuver. Noun. 조치, 묘책. The legislative maneuver successfully delayed the vote. Mitigate. Verb. 완화하다, 경감시키다. We must implement strategies to mitigate environmental risks. Recalibrate. Verb. 재조정하다. The company needs to recalibrate its marketing strategy. Leverage. Noun. 영향력, 협상력. They have significant leverage in the upcoming negotiations. Scrutiny. Noun. 정밀한 조사. The financial records were subjected to intense scrutiny. War Powers Resolution. 전쟁 권한 결의안. 행정부의 독단적인 전쟁 개입을 막기 위해 대통령이 미군을 해외 적대행위에 투입할 경우 사전에 의회의 승인을 받도록 규정한 미국의 법적 장치입니다. 이는 헌법상 전쟁 선포권이 의회에 있음을 재확인하는 역할을 합니다.
1-2. Iran says it's closing Hormuz Strait after Israeli attacks in Lebanon. Iran's military has issued a stark warning to international vessels, announcing plans to shut down the critical Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for alleged Israeli ceasefire violations in Lebanon. This geopolitical brinkmanship emerges as a substantial snag in the fragile diplomatic efforts between Washington and Tehran, following the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding. The closure threat strategically coincides with Vice President J.D. Vance's departure to Switzerland for pivotal peace talks aimed at resolving outstanding issues, including Iran's nuclear program. Intelligence experts assess that Tehran is intentionally wielding the waterway as a diplomatic stick to exert pressure on the U.S. to restrain Israeli military actions in the northern border zone. This secondary order effect demonstrates how maritime choke points remain powerful asymmetric tools in broader geopolitical negotiations. Vocabulary. Retaliation. Noun. 보복. 안갚음. The attack was carried out in retaliation for previous strikes. Brinkmanship. Noun. 벼랑 끝 전술. Nuclear brinkmanship poses a severe threat to global peace. Snag. Noun. 예상치 못한 장애물. We hit a major snag during the project's final phase. Pivotal. Adjective. 중추적인. 중요한. She played a pivotal role in securing the trade agreement. Outstanding. Adjective. 미해결해. 뛰어난. There are still a few outstanding issues to be resolved. Wield. Verb. 권력, 무기 등을 휘두르다.
The corporation wields enormous influence over local politics. Exert, verb, 영향력을 행사하다. Environmental groups are exerting pressure on the government. Asymmetric, adjective, 비대칭적인. Cyber warfare is a modern form of asymmetric conflict. Restrain, verb, 억제하다, 제지하다. The
Police struggled to restrain the angry crowd. Choke point, noun, 병목 구간, 전략적 요충지. The canal is a vital choke point for international shipping. 시사 용어 해설, brinkmanship, 벼랑 끝 전술. 정치나 외교 협상에서 파국, 전쟁이나 관계 단절을 각오하고 상대방을 극한까지 몰아붙여 자신이 원하는 양보를 얻어내려는 위험한 전술을 뜻합니다. 1-3. New date for CNN's Global Perspectives in Doha. CNN has officially announced that its flagship event series, Global Perspectives, is rescheduled to take place on October 29, 2026, in Doha, Qatar. Marking the inaugural occurrence of this prestigious summit in the Middle East and Gulf region, it will be hosted in partnership with Media City Qatar. The event will convene an elite assembly of dignitaries, political leaders, and business visionaries to engage in critical discourse surrounding geopolitics, technology, and cultural shifts. CNN's premier journalists, including Christiane Amanpour and Richard Quest, are slated to lead these pivotal conversations. This summit inherently underscores the Gulf region's growing centrality as an indispensable hub for global media, diplomatic dialogues, and cross-cultural exchanges. Vocabulary. Flagship. Noun adjective. 주력 상품. 대표적인. This laptop is the company's new flagship model. Inaugural. Adjective. 취임의. 첫 번째. The president gave his inaugural address to the nation. Prestigious. Adjective. 권위 있는. 명망 있는. She was accepted into a highly prestigious university. Convene. Verb. 소집하다. 모이다. The committee will convene next week to discuss the budget. Dignitary. Noun. 고위 관리. 유명 인사. Many foreign dignitaries attended the royal wedding. Discourse. Noun. 담론. 토론. The professor encouraged a healthy political discourse. Slate. Verb. 예정하다. The new software update is slated for release in October. Inherently. Adverb. 본질적으로. Skydiving is an inherently dangerous sport. Indispensable. Adjective. 없어서는 안 될. 필수적인. A smartphone has become an indispensable tool for work. Centrality. Noun. 중심적 역할. 중요성. The report highlighted the centrality of education in society. 시사 용어 해설. Geopolitics, 지정학. 지리적 환경, 위치, 자원 등이 한 국가의 정치, 경제, 외교 및 국제관계에 미치는 영향을 연구하는 학문입니다. 카타르 도하와 같은 중동 지역은 풍부한 자원과 대륙 간 교차로라는 지리적 이점으로 인해 지정학적 중요성이 매우 높습니다. 2. BBC, UK Media. 2-1. Searing UK heat leaves schools, hospitals, and transport networks struggling to cope. A searing heat wave, exacerbated by global climate breakdown, has swept across the United Kingdom, leaving essential infrastructure profoundly strained. With temperatures in southeastern England soaring to nearly 39 degrees Celsius, hospitals have been forced to cancel patient appointments, and hundreds of schools are closing early to protect vulnerable students. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres issued a stark warning that London is cooking, underscoring the exceptional severity of this human-induced extreme weather. Furthermore, rail operators have mandated reduced speeds to prevent thermal buckling of tracks, and regional water companies have preemptively implemented hosepipe bans to manage surging demand. This infrastructural paralysis illustrates the cascading secondary impacts of climate change, signaling an urgent need for systemic adaptation strategies across Europe. Vocabulary. Exacerbate. Verb. 악화시키다. The lack of rain will exacerbate the drought conditions. Strained. Adjective. 한계에 이른, 긴장한. The refugee crisis has left local resources severely strained. Soar. Verb. 치솟다. 급등하다. Housing prices have soared in the capital city. Vulnerable. Adjective. 취약한. 연약한. The elderly are especially vulnerable to extreme heat. Stark. Adjective. 쌍막한. 가차없는. The contrast between the rich and the poor is stark. Thermal. Adjective. 열에, 온도에. The engineers tested the thermal resistance of the new material. Preemptively. Adverb. 선제적으로. We preemptively updated our security systems to avoid hacks. Paralysis. Noun. 마비. The sudden strike caused complete paralysis of the transit system. Cascading. Adjective. 연쇄적인. The bank failure had a cascading effect on the global economy. Systemic. Adjective. 체계적인. 시스템 전반에. The financial crisis revealed systemic flaws in the banking sector. 시사용어 해설. Hosepipe ban. 호스파이프 금지령. 영국에서 물 부족이 우려될 때 지역 상하수도국이 가정 내 정원 호스나 스프링클러 사용을 일시적으로 금지하는 제도입니다. 이를 어길 경우 벌금이 부과되며 기후변화로 인해 최근 발동 빈도가 잦아지고 있습니다. 2-2. France records hottest day ever as 40 people drown across country 1947. As blistering temperatures envelop the nation, the intense heat has precipitated a tragic surge in water-related accidents, resulting in the drowning deaths of 40 individuals seeking relief in lakes and rivers. The severity of the conditions has also forced the premature closure of iconic landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, severely disrupting tourism and daily life. Climatologists warn that these recurrent extreme weather events are symptomatic of a broader, long-term shift in global climate patterns. Consequently, European governments are facing mounting pressure to rethink public safety protocols to better manage what is rapidly becoming the new climatological baseline. Vocabulary. Catastrophic. Adjective. 대재앙의 파멸적인. The hurricane left catastrophic damage in its wake. Meteorological. Adjective. 기상에, 기상하게. Meteorological data predicts a harsh winter this year. Blistering. Adjective. 치는 듯이 더운. They walked across the desert in blistering heat. Precipitate. Verb. 촉발시키다, 재촉하다. His sudden resignation precipitated a crisis in the company. Premature. Adjective. 때이른, 조기에. The athlete's knee injury led to his premature retirement. Disrupt. Verb. 방해하다, 지장을 주다. The protest completely disrupted traffic in the city center. Recurrent. Adjective. 되풀이되는, 재발하는. The patient suffers from a recurrent fever. Symptomatic. Adjective. 징후를 보이는. The decline in sales is symptomatic of a broader economic issue. Protocol. Noun. 수칙, 의정서. The hospital follows strict safety protocols for surgeries. Baseline. Noun. 기준선. This data will serve as a baseline for future studies. 시사용어 해설. New normal. New normal. 시대 변화에 따라 새롭게 부상하는 기준이나 표준을 의미합니다. 과거에는 이례적이었던 폭염이나 기상이변이 이제는 매년 겪어야 하는 일상이 되었다는 의미로 환경 분야에서 자주 쓰입니다. 2-3. Weakening UK net zero policy would damage economy, Chief Climate Advisor says. Nigel Topping, chair of the UK's Climate Change Committee, has unequivocally warned that diluting the nation's net zero policies will inflict profound damage on the domestic economy. He argued that the government's erratic policy shifts and frequent U-turns severely erode investor confidence and disrupt long-term business planning. Conversely, maintaining a steadfast commitment to the green transition can serve as a catalyst for monumental economic revitalization. Specifically, the clean energy sector has already demonstrated its potential by attracting over $100 billion in investments, driving substantial job creation. This analysis suggests that environmental sustainability and economic prosperity are no longer mutually exclusive,
but rather inextricably linked structural imperatives for modern economies. Vocabulary. Unequivocally. Adverb. 모호하지 않게. 명백히. She unequivocally rejected the unfair proposal. Dilute. Verb. 약화시키다. 희석하다. The new amendment will dilute the power of the president. Inflict. Verb. 고통 등을 가하다. The storm inflicted severe damage on the coastal villages. Erratic. Adjective. 불규칙한. 변덕스러운. The stock market has been exhibiting erratic behavior lately. Erode. Verb. 침식하다. 약화시키다. Continuous scandals have eroded public trust in the media. Steadfast. Adjective. 변함없는. 확고한. He remained steadfast in his belief despite the criticism. Catalyst. Noun. 촉매제. 기폭제. The invention of the internet was a catalyst for globalization. Monumental. Adjective. 엄청난. 기념비적인. Building the pyramid was a monumental engineering achievement. Revitalization. Noun. 부흥. 활성화. The mayor proposed a plan for the revitalization of the downtown area. Inextricably. Adverb. 떼어야 뗄 수 없게. Language and culture are inextricably bound together. 시사용어 해설. Net zero. 넷제로. 탄소 중립. 인간의 활동으로 배출되는 온실가스의 양과 흡수, 제거되는 양을 같게 만들어 실질적인 탄소 순 배출량을 0, 제로로 만드는 기후위기 극복 정책입니다. 유턴, 정치에서. 정책이나 입장을 기존과 정반대로 180도 바꾸는 것을 의미하며 정책의 일관성 부족을 비판할 때 자주 쓰이는 단어입니다.
3. ABC Australia. 3-1. ASIO threat warning as Iran-backed groups pose risk to Australians. The chief of the Australian Security Intelligence Organization, ASIO, has delivered a deeply sobering address, warning that it is a matter of when, not if, Iran-backed proxies execute lethal attacks against Australians on home soil. Shadow Defense Minister James Patterson echoed this alarming assessment, pointing out that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has already demonstrated its reach by sponsoring terror attacks, such as the firebombing of the Adas Israel Synagogue in Melbourne. This paradigm shift highlights how geopolitical rivalries in the Middle East are manifesting as localized domestic security threats for Western allies. Consequently, Australian intelligence agencies are operating under heightened vigilance, recognizing that state-sponsored terrorism is increasingly utilizing proxy networks to blur the lines of direct attribution. Vocabulary. Sobering. Adjective. 정신이 번쩍 들게 하는. The documentary provided a sobering look at poverty. Proxy. Noun. 대리인, 대리 세력. The two superpowers engaged in a proxy war in the region. Execute. Verb. 실행하다, 처형하다. The soldiers were ordered to execute the military operation. Echo. Verb. 반영을 일으키다, 동조하다. The politician's speech echoed the frustrations of the working class. Sponsor. Verb. 후원하다, 주도하다. The state was accused of sponsoring international terrorism. Paradigm. Noun. 패러다임, 인식체계. The discovery caused a paradigm shift in modern physics. Manifest. Verb. 나타나다, 분명해지다. His stress began to manifest as physical illness. Vigilance. Noun. 경계, 조심. Constant vigilance is required to prevent cyber attacks. Blur. Verb. 흐릿하게 만들다. The new policy blurs the line between public and private sectors. Attribution. Noun. 귀속, 책임 소재. Accurate attribution of cyber attacks is notoriously difficult. 시사용어 해설. Proxy network, proxy war. 대리 세력, 대리전. 직접 군사력을 동원해 싸우는 대신 자금을 대거나 무기를 지원받는 제3의 무장단체, 대리 세력을 내세워 배후에서 영향력을 행사하고 전쟁을 치르는 것을 말합니다. 책임 소재, attribution을 회피하기 좋은 수단입니다. 3-2. Temporary exclusion order rescinded for ISIS bride returning to Australia. The Australian government is facing intense backlash after rescinding a temporary exclusion order, TEO, for an Australian woman affiliated with the Islamic State, ISIS, thereby clearing her path to return from Syria. Shadow Defense Minister James Patterson vociferously condemned the decision, arguing that allowing so-called ISIS brides back into the country poses an intolerable risk to national security. Although Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke emphasized that a raft of stringent monitoring measures would be enforced upon her arrival, critics remain unconvinced. The ideological clash highlights a pervasive dilemma faced by Western democracies, balancing the legal obligations of citizenship and human rights against the imperative of shielding the public from radicalized individuals. Vocabulary: backlash, noun, 반발, 역풍. The new tax proposal faced a massive public backlash. Rescind, verb, 철회하다, 폐지하다. The university decided to rescind his honorary degree. Affiliate, verb, 연계되다, 제휴하다. The local radio station is affiliated with a national network. Vociferously, adverb, 큰 소리로, 외치며. The protesters vociferously demanded immediate climate action. Condemn, verb, 규탄하다, 비난하다. The international community quickly condemned the invasion. Intolerable, adjective, 견딜 수 없는. The working conditions in the factory were simply intolerable. Stringent, adjective, 엄격한, 가혹한. The airline has introduced stringent new security checks. Pervasive, adjective, 만연한, 스며드는. Corruption remains a pervasive issue in the developing nation. Imperative, noun, 지승과제, 필수적인 것. Economic survival is an absolute imperative for the company. Radicalized, adjective, 급진화된. The internet can easily expose vulnerable teens to radicalized views. 시사용어 해설, TEO, Temporary Exclusion Order, 일시적 입국 금지 명령. 자국민이 테러나 심각한 범죄에 가담하여 국가 안보에 위협이 된다고 판단될 때 본국으로 돌아오는 것을 임시로 막거나 귀국 조건을 엄격히 통제할 수 있는 정부의 행정명령입니다. Number 3. Teal party dynamics and the future of political leadership in Australia. Following his receipt of the prestigious McKinnon Prize for Outstanding Political Leadership, Senator James Patterson emphasized that the Liberal Party must focus on delivering tangible results for the country, rather than pursuing power for its own sake. During his address, Patterson also cast a critical eye on the so-called Teal independents, arguing that despite their claims of nonpartisanship, they operate functionally as a unified political party. He noted that the Teals share common philosophies, pool fundraising efforts, and divide political issues cohesively. This critique sheds light on the evolving structural dynamics of Australian politics, where disillusioned voters are increasingly empowering highly organized independent movements that threaten traditional bipartisan hegemony. Vocabulary: outstanding, adjective, 탁월한, 뛰어난. She received an award for her outstanding contribution to science. Tangible, adjective, 실질적인, 만질 수 있는. The new policy has produced tangible improvements in air quality. Nonpartisanship, noun, 초당파성, 무당파. The committee operates strictly on the principle of nonpartisanship. Functionally, adverb, 기능적으로, 실질적으로. Although it's an old design, the machine is functionally perfect. Unified, adjective, 통일된, 통합된. The nations formed a unified front to tackle climate change. Pool, verb, 자금, 정보 등을 모으다. The companies decided to pool their resources for the project. Cohesively, adverb, 응집력 있게. The team worked cohesively to meet the tight deadline. Critique, noun, 비평, 평론. The professor wrote a sharp critique of the current economic model. Disillusioned, adjective, 환멸을 느낀. Voters are becoming increasingly disillusioned with empty promises. Hegemony, noun, 패권, 주도권. The empire struggled to maintain its cultural hegemony. 시사용어 해설. Teal independence, Teal 무소속 연합. 호주 정치에서 기후변화 대응, 정치 청렴, 성평등을 주창하며 돌풍을 일으킨 무소속 정치인들을 뜻합니다. 호주의 보수, 자유당의 상징인 파란색과 환경주의, 녹색이 섞인 청목색, Teal을 상징색으로 사용하여 붙여진 이름입니다. 4. The Korea Times. 4.1. SK Hynix overtakes Samsung in market value amid AI-driven chip boom. In an unprecedented reshaping of the Korean stock market, SK hynix has dethroned Samsung Electronics to become the most valuable listed company by market capitalization on the Kospi. This historic milestone officially concludes Samsung's uninterrupted 25-year dominance at the top of the benchmark index. SK hynix's meteoric ascent, highlighted by a staggering $340 stock rally this year, is fundamentally propelled by the global artificial intelligence boom and its monopolistic grip on supplying high-bandwidth memory, HBM chips. In stark contrast, analysts suggest that Samsung's highly diversified portfolio, spanning consumer appliances to smartphones, has inadvertently diluted its capacity to fully capitalize on this pure-play semiconductor supercycle. This paradigm shift signals that capital markets are heavily rewarding concentrated AI hardware expertise over traditional conglomerate diversification. Vocabulary. Unprecedented. Adjective. 전례 없는. The pandemic caused economic disruptions on an unprecedented scale. Dethrone. Verb. 왕좌에서 끌어내리다. The young startup managed to dethrone the industry giant. Capitalization. Noun. 자본화. 시가총액. The firm has a market capitalization of over $1 billion. Meteoric. Adjective. 유성 같은. 눈부시게 빠른. The pop star experienced a meteoric rise to global fame. Propel. Verb. 나아가게 하다. 추진하다. The strong wind propelled the sailboat across the lake. Monopolistic. Adjective. 독점적인. The government cracked down on monopolistic business practices. Diversified. Adjective. 다각화된. A diversified investment portfolio reduces financial risk. Inadvertently. Adverb. 무심코. 뜻하지 않게. I inadvertently deleted the important file from my computer. Dilute. Verb. 약화시키다. 희석하다. Adding too much water will dilute the flavor of the soup. Capitalize on. Phrasal verb. 을 이용하다. 기회로 삼다. We must capitalize on the competitor's recent mistake. 시사용어 해설. Market capitalization. 시가총액. 기업이 발행한 총 주식수의 현재 주가를 곱한 값으로 시장에서 평가받는 그 기업의 실질적인 규모와 가치를 의미합니다. HBM, High Bandwidth Memory. 여러 개의 D램을 수직으로 쌓아 올려 데이터 처리 속도를 혁신적으로 높인 고성능 메모리입니다. 방대한 데이터를 빠르게 처리해야 하는 AI 연산의 필수적인 부품입니다.
4.2. Foreign sell-off in Samsung Electronics, SK hynix, drags Kospi down 10%. The Korean stock market experienced a precipitous decline, with the benchmark Kospi plunging nearly 10% following a massive foreign sell-off that triggered automated market stabilization mechanisms. The steep downward trajectory was overwhelmingly driven by heavy offloading in the semiconductor sector, causing tech behemoths Samsung Electronics and SK hynix to slide by more than 12% each. Financial analysts quickly clarified that the crash was not instigated by deteriorating macroeconomic fundamentals, but rather by intensified profit-taking behavior. Following weeks of AI-driven exuberance, investors opted to lock in their massive gains, leading to amplified volatility. Consequently, this abrupt market correction serves as a sobering reminder of the inherent risks associated with extreme capital concentration in a single high-flying tech sector. Vocabulary. Precipitous. Adjective. 가파른, 급격한. The company saw a precipitous drop in sales this quarter. Plunge. Verb. 급락하다, 추락하다. Stock prices plunged after the negative earnings report. Offload. Verb. 덜어내다, 주식을 팔아치우다. Investors rushed to offload their shares before the crash. Behemoth. Noun. 거대 기업, 거물. Amazon is an e-commerce behemoth that dominates the market. Instigate. Verb. 촉발하다, 선동하다. He was accused of instigating the violent protests. Macroeconomic. Adjective. 거시경제. Inflation and unemployment are key macroeconomic indicators. Profit-taking. Noun. 차익 실현. The stock fell slightly due to late afternoon profit-taking. Exuberance. Noun. 열광, 넘치는 활기. The irrational exuberance in the housing market led to a bubble. Volatility. Noun. 변동성. High volatility in the crypto market makes it a risky investment. Correction. Noun. 시장의 조정. Analysts believe the recent market dip is just a healthy correction. 시사 용어 해설. Market stabilization measures, sidecar. 주식시장에서 선물 가격이 급격하게 오르거나 내릴 때 시장의 혼란을 막기 위해 프로그램 매매 호가의 효력을 5분간 일시적으로 정지시키는 제도입니다. Profit taking. 차익 실현. 주가가 많이 올랐을 때 장부상의 이익을 실제 현금으로 챙기기 위해 보유하던 주식을 파는 행위를 뜻합니다.
4.3. Defense Ministry to complete new defense reform plan by June 2026. South Korea's defense ministry has announced a strategic initiative to finalize a comprehensive new defense reform plan by June 2026. Facing an irreversible demographic crisis and severely shrinking military personnel, the ministry is shifting its paradigm from maintaining sheer troop numbers to maximizing technological superiority. The upcoming blueprint focuses intensely on incorporating cutting-edge technologies, such as artificial intelligence and unmanned combat systems, directly into the military infrastructure. By effectively substituting manpower with advanced automation, the military aims to transform into a leaner, smarter, and highly lethal fighting force. This systemic overhaul underscores a critical transition period for South Korea's national security apparatus as it adapts to unavoidable domestic realities and evolving modern warfare. Vocabulary. Initiative. Noun. 주도권, 새로운 계획. The company launched a new initiative to go green by 2030. Demographic. Adjective. 인구 통계학에. The country is facing significant demographic changes due to aging. Personnel. Noun. 인원, 직원. All military personnel are required to attend the briefing. Superiority. Noun. 우월성, 우위. The Air Force established air superiority quickly. Blueprint. Noun. 청사진, 계획. They presented a blueprint for reforming the healthcare system. Incorporate. Verb. 포함하다, 통합하다. The new car design incorporates several advanced safety features. Cutting edge. Adjective. 최첨단의. Our laboratory is equipped with cutting-edge technology. Substitute. Verb. 대체하다. You can substitute honey for sugar in this recipe. Overhaul. Noun. Verb. 철저한 점검. 정비. The outdated tax system needs a complete overhaul. Apparatus. Noun. 기구, 조직 체계. The state security apparatus was mobilized to handle the crisis. 시사용어 해설. Defense reform. 국방개혁. 변화하는 안보 환경과 기술 발전에 맞춰 군대의 조직, 무기 체계, 병력 구조 등을 현대적이고 효율적으로 뜯어고치는 전면적인 군 구조 개편 작업을 뜻합니다. 5. The Korea Herald. 5-1. North Korea deploys new destroyer, stresses push for nuclear-capable navy. North Korea has significantly escalated its maritime threat profile by deploying a newly constructed 5,000-ton multi-purpose destroyer, the Choi-hyun, into active service. Leader Kim Jong-un presided over the deployment, boldly proclaiming that the Navy's transformation into a nuclear-armed force is advancing precisely on schedule. According to state media, Kim emphasized that the Navy is now equipped with strategic assets, granting it the theoretical capability to execute preemptive strikes in enemy-controlled waters. He also alluded to the impending construction of a new naval base intended to harbor even larger, 10,000-ton warships. Analysts interpret this aggressive naval expansion as a profound strategic pivot, indicating that Pyongyang increasingly views the ocean as a vital domain for nuclear deterrence and regime survival. Vocabulary. Escalate. Verb. 확대하다. 긴장을 고조시키다. The argument quickly escalated into a physical fight. Profile. Noun. 윤곽, 인지도, 태세. The military maintains a highly visible profile in the region. Preside. Verb. 주재하다, 통솔하다. The judge will preside over the high-profile murder trial. Proclaim. Verb. 선언하다. The government proclaimed a state of emergency. Asset. Noun. 자산.
Her ability to speak 3 languages is a huge asset to the company. Theoretical, adjective, 이론적인. The concept is purely theoretical and hasn't been tested yet. Preemptive, adjective, 선제적인. The country launched a preemptive strike to disable enemy missiles. Allude, verb, 암시하다, 넌지시 말하다.
He alluded to problems with his boss, but didn't give details. Harbor, verb, 항구에 정박시키다, 생각 등을 품다. The port was built to harbor massive cruise ships. Deterrence, noun, 억제력. Nuclear weapons serve as a deterrence against foreign invasion. 시사용어 해설. Preemptive strike, 선제 타격. 상대방이 무력 공격을 가할 것이 확실시되는 상황에서 우리 쪽이 먼저 상대의 군사기지나 미사일 발사시설 등을 공격해 무력화시키는 고도의 선제 방어 전략입니다. 5.2. 4 more South Korean-operated vessels exit Strait of Hormuz. Following a crucial ceasefire agreement between the United States and Iran, 4 additional South Korean-operated vessels successfully navigated their way out of the crisis-stricken Strait of Hormuz. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries confirmed that these ships, which include a very large crude carrier, VLCC, are now sailing safely, easing fears of an impending maritime logistics crisis. Under the terms of the recent U.S.-Iran pact, Tehran has temporarily agreed to permit commercial vessels to traverse the strategic waterway without levying transit fees during a 60-day negotiation window. Although 18 South Korean-linked ships remain stationed in the broader Persian Gulf, this successful exit provides critical breathing room for global energy supply chains heavily reliant on Middle Eastern oil. Vocabulary. Navigate. Verb. 길을 찾다. 항해하다. The captain had to navigate carefully through the thick fog. Crisis-stricken. Adjective. 위기에 타격을 입은. Aid was immediately sent to the crisis-stricken region. Logistics. Noun. 물류. 병참. The logistics of moving 50,000 troops are incredibly complex. Traverse. Verb. 횡단하다. 통과하다. The expedition successfully traversed the vast desert. Strategic. Adjective. 전략적인. The island is of high strategic importance to the Navy. Levy. Verb/noun. 부과하다. 징수. The government plans to levy a new tax on imported goods. Transit. Noun. 수송. 통과. The goods were damaged in transit. Stationed. Adjective. 주둔한, 배치된. Several thousands of troops are stationed along the border. Reliant. Adjective. 의존하는. The island's economy is heavily reliant on tourism. Breathing room. Idiom. 숨 돌릴 틈. 여유. The loan extension gave the struggling company some breathing room. 시사용어 해설. Strait of Hormuz. 호르무즈 해협. 페르시아만과 오만만을 연결하는 좁은 바닷길로 전 세계 원유 공급량의 약 20%가 통과하는 글로벌 에너지 수송의 최대 동맥입니다. 이곳이 봉쇄되면 전 세계 유가가 폭등하는 등 막대한 경제적 타격이 발생합니다. 5.3. Shincheonji sect leader arrested in election influence investigation. Lee Man-hee, the controversial leader of the Shincheonji Church, has been formally arrested following a high-profile investigation into alleged election meddling. Arriving at the Seoul Central District Court for his hearing, the sect leader faced serious accusations of violating the Political Parties Act. Prosecutors assert that Lee illicitly mobilized massive numbers of his religious followers to exert undue influence over recent political elections, effectively functioning as an unregistered political pressure group. This arrest highlights a decisive crackdown by South Korean authorities attempting to sever the opaque, illegal ties between fringe religious organizations and the national electoral process. It serves as a stern legal warning that the exploitation of religious authority to subvert democratic integrity will meet severe judicial consequences. Vocabulary. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The politician's controversial remarks sparked a fierce debate. Meddle. Verb. 간섭하다, 개입하다. Please do not meddle in my personal affairs. Sect.
Noun. 종파, 파벌. The group is considered a radical religious sect. Illicitly. Adverb. 불법적으로. They were accused of illicitly funneling money to the campaign. Mobilize. Verb. 동원하다. The president promised to mobilize all resources to fight the fire. Undo. Adjective. 과도한, 부당한. The contract was signed under undue pressure. Crackdown. Noun. 강력한 단속. The police launched a severe crackdown on illegal gambling. Sever. Verb. 자르다, 관계를 끊다. The two countries agreed to sever diplomatic relations. Opaque. Adjective. 불투명한. The company's opaque accounting practices raised suspicions. Subvert. Verb. 전복시키다, 파괴하다. The rebels plotted to subvert the established government. 중요 시사 용어. Political Parties Act, 정당법. 정당의 조직과 활동, 자금 조달 등을 투명하게 규제하여 민주적인 정치 질서를 확립하기 위한 법률입니다. 특정 단체가 정당의 형태를 띠지 않고 은밀하게 선거판을 좌지우지하는 행위는 이 법에 의해 엄격히 처벌받을 수 있습니다. 도원하다. Mobilize. 불법적으로. Illicitly. 불투명한. Opaque. 전복시키다, 파괴하다. Subvert. 간섭하다, 개입하다. Meddle. 종파, 파벌. Sect.
6. CGTN 6-1. China regains world's top supercomputer ranking with line-shine. China has triumphantly reclaimed the pinnacle of global high-performance computing after a 9-year hiatus, unveiling its domestically developed line-shine supercomputer. Debuting at the ISC 2026 conference in Germany, line-shine shattered previous benchmarks by achieving a sustained performance of 198 exaflops, making it the first system ever to break the monumental 2 exaflop threshold. Engineered to seamlessly fuse traditional scientific simulations with advanced artificial intelligence workloads, the system utilizes proprietary LX2 processors and high-bandwidth memory to transfer data significantly faster than conventional CPUs. Accompanied by a state-of-the-art liquid cooling design, this technological marvel highlights China's aggressive push toward absolute self-reliance in cutting-edge computing infrastructure amid tightening global tech embargoes. Vocabulary. Triumphantly. Adverb. 리기양양하게. The team triumphantly held up the championship trophy. Reclaim. Verb. 되찾다. He successfully reclaimed his title as world champion. Hiatus. Noun. 공백. 중단. The band released a new album after a 5-year hiatus. Shatter. Verb. 산산조각 내다. The athlete shattered the previous world record. Benchmark. Noun. 기준점. The new software sets a high benchmark for the industry. Monumental. Adjective. 기념비적인. The moon landing was a monumental achievement for humanity. Seamlessly. Adverb. 매끄럽게. 이음새 없이. The transition between the two scenes was done seamlessly. Proprietary. Adjective. 독자적인. 소유권의. They use a proprietary software system for data analysis. Self-reliance. Noun. 자립. 독립. The nation's goal is total energy self-reliance by 2040. Embargo. Noun. 금수조치. 통상정지. The UN lifted the trade embargo against the country. 시사 용어 해설. Exaflops. Exaflops. 1엑사플롭스는 컴퓨터가 1초당 100경, 10의 18제곱번의 실수 연산을 수행할 수 있음을 뜻합니다. 날씨 예측, 우주 시뮬레이션, 거대 AI 모델 학습 등 상상을 초월하는 데이터 계산이 필요한 분야에서 슈퍼컴퓨터의 성능을 나타내는 단위입니다. 6-2. China Opportunity 2.0 offers growth potential for global businesses. Speaking at the opening plenary of the Summer Davos Forum in Dalian, Chinese Premier Li Qiang enthusiastically pitched the concept of China Opportunity 2.0 to foreign investors and global businesses. He asserted that the Chinese economy maintains robust resilience and positive momentum, anchored increasingly by innovation-driven development and the vast commercial deployment of AI technologies. Directing a rebuttal at Western narratives' warning of a so-called China Shock 2.0, which frames China's export capacity as a disruptive threat, Li argued to the contrary. He emphasized that China's technological advancements translate into broader market access and widely shared development dividends for global partners. This rhetoric clearly aims to soothe foreign capital flight and reaffirm China's commitment to global economic integration amidst rising protectionism. Vocabulary. plenary. Noun/adjective. 청회, 전원 참석에. The conference will start with a plenary session tomorrow. Enthusiastically. Adverb. 열광적으로. The crowd cheered enthusiastically when the band appeared. Assert. Verb. 강력히 주장하다. He asserted his innocence throughout the trial. Robust. Adjective. 튼튼한, 강력한. The economy showed robust growth in the third quarter. Resilience. Noun. 회복력, 탄력성. The community demonstrated incredible resilience after the disaster. Deployment. Noun. 전개, 상용화. The swift deployment of vaccines saved many lives. Rebuttal. Noun. 반박. The lawyer provided a strong rebuttal to the prosecutor's claims. Disruptive. Adjective. 파괴적인, 혁신적인. Artificial intelligence is a highly disruptive technology. Dividend. Noun. 배당금, 혜택. Investing in good education will pay huge dividends later in life. Flight. Noun. 이탈, 도피. Political instability often causes capital flight from a country. 시사용어 해설. 차이나 쇼크 2.0. 2000년대 초반 중국산 저가 공산품이 전 세계를 휩쓸며 서방의 제조업 일자리를 파괴했던 1차 차이나 쇼크에 이어 최근 전기차, 배터리, 태양광 등 첨단 친환경 분야에서 중국산 제품이 막대한 보조금을 등에 업고 저가로 세계 시장을 잠식하며 서방 산업 생태계를 위협하는 현상을 말합니다.
6.3. Bangladeshi PM arrives in Beijing on official visit to enhance strategic ties. Bangladeshi Prime Minister Tariq Rahman has touched down in Beijing for an intensive 3-day official visit, underscoring the deepening strategic alignment between the two nations. During his high-stakes diplomatic tour, Rahman is scheduled to hold separate summit meetings with President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang. The diplomatic agenda prioritizes elevating their comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership, particularly through advancing high-quality infrastructure projects under China's hallmark Belt and Road Initiative. With bilateral trade already surpassing an impressive $24 billion, Beijing views Bangladesh as an essential economic and geopolitical anchor in South Asia. This bilateral embrace illustrates China's ongoing strategy to consolidate its sphere of influence across the Indo-Pacific by leveraging massive economic diplomacy. Vocabulary. Intensive. Adjective. 집중적인, 집약적인. The patient requires 2 weeks of intensive care. Alignment. Noun. 체유, 연합, 정렬. The political alignment between the two nations is growing stronger. High stakes. Adjective. 중대한, 큰 판돈이 걸린. It was a high-stakes negotiation with millions of dollars involved. Prioritize. Verb. 최우선으로 삼다. You must learn to prioritize your tasks efficiently. Elevate. Verb. 격상시키다, 높이다. Her promotion elevated her status within the company. Hallmark. Noun. 대표적인 특징. 간판. Attention to detail is the hallmark of a great designer. Anchor. Noun. 구심점. 탓. She has been the emotional anchor of the family. Embrace. Noun. Verb. 포용. 결속. 받아들이다. The community's warm embrace made the immigrants feel welcome. Consolidate. Verb. 굳건히 하다. 통합하다. The merger helped the company consolidate its market position. Sphere of influence. 이디om. 세력권. 영향권. During the Cold War, the world was divided into 2 spheres of influence. 시사용어 해설. Belt and Road Initiative. 1대1로 구상. 중국이 주도하여 아시아, 아프리카, 유럽을 육로와 해로로 연결하는 거대한 인프라 건설 및 무역망 구축 프로젝트입니다. 중국이 거대한 자본력을 바탕으로 참여국의 도로, 항만 등을 지어주며 자국의 경제적, 지정학적 영향력을 확대하려는 패권 전략으로 평가받습니다. Number 7. NHK World Japan. Number 7. 1. Magnitude 6.9 earthquake strikes northern Japan. No tsunami warning. A powerful magnitude 6.9 earthquake jolted the Pacific coast of northern Japan early Thursday morning, violently rattling the region and sending perceptible tremors hundreds of kilometers south to Tokyo. The epicenter was situated approximately 50 kilometers deep off the coast of Iwate Prefecture, triggering intense shaking that registered an upper 6 on the Japanese seismic intensity scale.
Much to the relief of the nation, the Japan Meteorological Agency confirmed there was no tsunami threat, and top government officials quickly verified that no human casualties had been reported. Crucially, radiation monitoring posts at nearby nuclear facilities, including the Tomari and Fukushima Daiichi plants, indicated absolutely no abnormal changes. Nonetheless, Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi urged citizens to maintain heightened vigilance against potential major aftershocks in the coming days. Vocabulary. Jolt. Verb. 갑자기 거칠게 흔들다. The loud explosion jolted me out of bed. Rattle. Verb. 덜거덕거리다. 흔들다. The strong wind rattled the window frames all night. Perceptible. Adjective. 감지할 수 있는. There was a barely perceptible change in his tone of voice. Tremor. Noun. 미진. 떨림. The initial tremor was followed by a massive earthquake. Epicenter. Noun. 진앙. 중심점. The epicenter of the crisis was the financial district. Seismic. Adjective. 지진해. 엄청난. The region is known for its high seismic activity. Verify. Verb. 확인하다. 입증하다. We must verify his credentials before offering him the job. Casualty. Noun. 사상자. The conflict resulted in heavy civilian casualties. Abnormal. Adjective. 비정상적인. The blood test showed abnormal levels of cholesterol. Vigilance. Noun. 경계. 조심. Constant vigilance is the price of freedom. 시사용어 해설. Seismic intensity scale. 진도 계급. 지진 자체가 가진 절대적인 에너지를 뜻하는 규모, magnitude와 달리 특정 장소의 땅이나 건물이 흔들리는 실제 정도를 숫자로 나타낸 것입니다. 일본은 0부터 7, 최고 강도까지 나누어진 독자적인 진도, 신도 체계를 사용합니다.
7.2. Two Japanese detained in China for alleged rare earths smuggling. Sino-Japanese diplomatic tensions have escalated sharply following Tokyo's announcement that two Japanese nationals have been detained in China on suspicion of smuggling restricted goods. The individuals, employees of a major Japanese machinery maker, are reportedly under investigation for attempting to illegally export materials related to rare earths, critical minerals over which Beijing holds a virtual global monopoly. China's foreign ministry corroborated the detentions, stating the individuals violated customs laws and sternly advising Japanese enterprises to respect Chinese export regulations. This incident unfolds against the backdrop of China aggressively tightening export controls on dual-use minerals in retaliation for Japan's tightening alignment with U.S. technological embargoes. The arrests serve as a stark warning shot to multinational corporations caught in the crossfire of the escalating critical mineral war. Vocabulary. Escalate. Verb. 고조되다. 악화되다. The border dispute escalated into a full-scale war. Smuggle. Verb. 비수하다. He was arrested for attempting to smuggle diamonds. Rare earths. Noun. 히토류. Rare earths are essential for manufacturing electric vehicles. Monopoly. Noun. 독점. The state-owned company has a monopoly on electricity supply. Corroborate. Verb. 확증하다. 제공하다. The witness corroborated the suspect's alibi. Sternly. Adverb. 엄격하게. 단호하게. The teacher spoke sternly to the misbehaving student. Dual use. Adjective. 이중용도에. The chemicals are restricted because they are dual-use materials. Retaliation. Noun. 보복. Tariffs were imposed in retaliation for unfair trade practices. Alignment. Noun. 정렬. 제휴. Her ideas are in perfect alignment with the company's goals. Crossfire. Noun. 십자포와. 양측의 공격을 받는 상황. Innocent civilians were caught in the crossfire. 시사용어 해설. Rare earths. 히토류. 자연계에 매우 드물게 존재하는 17종의 희귀한 금속 원소를 뜻합니다. 전기차 배터리, 스마트폰, 첨단 군사무기 등 현대 첨단 산업 전반에 필수적으로 사용되어 4차 산업혁명의 쌀로 불리며 중국이 전 세계 생산량의 대부분을 장악하고 있어 강력한 자원 무기로 쓰입니다.
7:30. IAEA Chief Grossi visits Fukushima Prefecture. IAEA Director General Dr. Rafael Mariano Grossi conducted a critical on-site inspection of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station to review the ongoing discharge of Alps-treated water into the ocean. During his meetings with TEPCO executives, Grossi reaffirmed the IAEA's steadfast commitment to providing continuous technical oversight and ensuring the decommissioning process adheres strictly to international safety standards. To maintain absolute transparency and quell lingering regional anxieties, Grossi presided over additional seawater sampling procedures in the immediate vicinity of the plant. Notably, this environmental monitoring involved a coalition of independent experts from laboratories in China, South Korea, and Switzerland, underscoring a multilateral approach to verifying environmental safety data. Vocabulary. Inspection. Noun. 시찰, 검사. The restaurant passed the rigorous health inspection. Discharge. Noun, verb. 방출, 배출하다. The factory was fined for the illegal discharge of chemicals. Steadfast. Adjective. 확고한, 변함없는. He remained steadfast in his devotion to his family. Oversight. Noun. 감독, 관리. The new committee will provide oversight for the project. Decommission. Verb. 해체하다. 원전 등의 가동을 중단하다. The military decided to decommission the old submarine. Adhere. Verb. 준수하다. 고수하다. All staff must strictly adhere to the company's dress code. Quell. Verb. 가라앉히다, 진압하다. The police used tear gas to quell the violent riot. Lingering. Adjective. 남아있는, 좀처럼 안 없어지는. She still had lingering doubts about his honesty. Vicinity. Noun. 부근, 인근. There are no gas stations in the immediate vicinity. Multilateral. Adjective. 다자간에. The crisis requires a coordinated, multilateral solution. 시사용어 해설. ALPS. Advanced Liquid Processing System. 다핵종 제거 설비. 원자력 발전소 사고로 발생한 고농도 방사능 오염수에서 세슘, 스트론튬 등 위험한 방사성 물질들을 걸러내는 정화장치입니다. 단, 삼중수소는 걸러내지 못해 바닷물로 크게 희석하여 방류하게 됩니다.
8. Al Jazeera. 8.1. Brazil qualifies as Group C winners in World Cup 2026. Five-time world champions Brazil have emphatically secured their place in the knockout stages of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, advancing as the decisive winners of Group C. In a highly anticipated fixture in Miami, the South American Giants systematically dismantled Scotland with a commanding 3-0 victory. While the match celebrated the much-anticipated return of superstar Neymar, it was Vinicius Jr. who truly stole the spotlight by netting 2 spectacular goals, thereby matching the historic World Cup goal tallies of legendary figures like Romario and Zico. Brazil's captain Marquinhos praised the squad's flawless group phase, but cautioned that the real competition begins now. Meanwhile, Scotland faces an agonizing wait to determine if their 3 accumulated points will suffice to advance as one of the best third-place teams. Vocabulary. Emphatically. Adverb. 단호하게, 압도적으로. He emphatically denied the rumors about his resignation. Decisive. Adjective. 결정적인, 단호한. The Battle of Waterloo was a decisive victory for the Allies. Fixture. Noun. 정기, 빗박이. The local derby is the most awaited fixture of the season. Dismantle. Verb. 분해하다, 무너뜨리다. The mechanic dismantled the engine to find the fault. Commanding. Adjective. 위험 있는, 압도적인. She won the election with a commanding lead. Spotlight. Noun. 각광, 이목. The scandal threw the politician back into the spotlight. Tally. Noun. 기록, 득점, 집계. He kept a running tally of his expenses on his phone. Flawless. Adjective. 흠없는, 완벽한. The gymnast performed a flawless routine and won gold. Agonizing. Adjective. 고통스러운, 애타는. We had an agonizing wait outside the operating room. Suffice. Verb. 충분하다.
A simple apology will not suffice in this situation. 시사용어 해설. Knockout stage, knockout stage. 축구 월드컵 등에서 조별리그, 그룹 스테이지가 끝난 후 지면 바로 탈락하는 토너멘트 방식을 의미합니다. 단 한 번의 패배로 짐을 싸야 하기 때문에 긴장감이 극도로 높아집니다.
8-2. Top third round matches to watch at World Cup 2026. As the 2026 FIFA World Cup group stage reaches its thrilling climax, sports analysts have curated a list of must-watch, blockbuster fixtures for the decisive third round. The absolute marquee match pits France against Norway in a high-stakes battle to secure the top spot in Group I. This encounter transcends mere team rivalry, as it features a highly anticipated shootout between the planet's two most prolific strikers, Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, both aggressively chasing the Golden Boot. Meanwhile, in Group H, a tactical war looms as Spain takes on Uruguay in Seattle. La Roja needs a victory to cement their status as group leaders, desperately aiming to bypass a dreaded round of 32 clash with reigning champions Argentina. These high-tension matches encapsulate the unforgiving drama that defines World Cup football. Vocabulary. Climax. Noun. 절정. Climax. The movie reaches its thrilling climax in the final 10 minutes. Curate. Verb. 엄선하다. curating하다. The museum curated a special exhibition of modern art. Marquee. Adjective. 가장 인기 있는, 간판급의. He is the marquee player for the basketball franchise. Transcend. Verb. 초월하다, 뛰어넘다. Music is a universal language that transcends cultural boundaries. Shootout. Noun. 총격전, 난타전, 스포츠. The hockey game ended in a dramatic penalty shootout. Prolific. Adjective. 다작하는, 득점력이 뛰어난. He is one of the most prolific goal scorers in the league's history. Loom. Verb. 위협적으로 어렴풋이 다가오다. Dark clouds loomed on the horizon, threatening rain. Cement. Verb. 확고히 하다, 굳히다. The victory helped cement his legacy as a great leader.
83. Morocco beats Scotland 1-0 as Saibari scores fastest World Cup 2026 goal. Morocco took a giant leap toward the World Cup knockout rounds by securing a gritty 1-0 victory over Scotland in a highly physical contest in Boston. The match's solitary yet spectacular moment occurred just 71 seconds after kickoff, when Ismail Saibari expertly latched onto a ball over the top, rifling it into the net. This stunning strike not only demoralized the opposition, but also officially registered as the fastest goal of the 2026 tournament thus far. Despite Scotland fielding a reinforced five-man defense, they appeared remarkably stodgy in attack, failing to genuinely test the Moroccan goalkeeper throughout the match. Consequently, the African giants successfully absorbed the pressure to see the game out, leaving Scotland in a desperate position, needing a miracle against Brazil. Vocabulary. Gritty. Adjective. 끈기 있는, 투지 넘치는. The team pulled off a gritty win in the final quarter. Solitary. Adjective. 단 하나에, 홀로 있는. A solitary figure stood silhouetted against the sunset. Latch onto. Phrasal verb. 꽉 붙잡다, 공을 낚아채다. The forward latched onto the pass and scored instantly. Rifle. Verb. 총알처럼 쏘다, 세게 차다. He rifled the ball into the top corner of the net. Demoralize. Verb. 사기를 꺾다. The consecutive losses began to demoralize the players. Field. Verb. 선수를 출전시키다. The manager decided to field a completely different lineup today. Remarkably. Adverb. 눈에 띄게, 놀라울 정도로. She recovered from the surgery remarkably fast. Stodgy. Adjective. 답답한, 지루한, 더부룩한. The movie was criticized for its stodgy and slow pacing. Absorb. Verb. 흡수하다, 받아들이다. The strong suspension helps the car absorb bumps on the road. See out. Phrasal verb. 끝까지 마무리하다, 버텨내다. They defended brilliantly to see out the remaining 10 minutes. 시사 용어 해설. Five-man defense. Five-back 수비. 축구에서 보통 수비수를 4명, 포백 두는 것과 달리 수비수를 5명으로 늘려 골문 앞을 촘촘하게 틀어막는 극단적인 수비 중심의 전술을 뜻합니다. 수비는 강해지지만 공격 숫자가 부족해지는 단점, stodgy in attack가 있습니다.
9. CBC Canada. 9-1. PM Mark Carney signs agreement with Japanese counterpart to expand trade and defense ties. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has inked a landmark comprehensive strategic partnership with Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takeichi during an official visit to Tokyo, fundamentally modernizing bilateral relations. The diplomatic push comes as Ottawa actively seeks to broaden its alliances with like-minded Indo-Pacific nations amidst growing unpredictability in Canada-US relations. The wide-ranging agreement pledges robust cooperation across critical sectors, heavily emphasizing defense, advanced technologies, and critical minerals. Notably, the pact entails increased joint military exercises and enhanced intelligence sharing specifically designed to streamline defense procurement. Carney framed the agreement as a vital countermeasure to fortify collective security and catalyze economic gains at a time when the global rules-based order is increasingly fracturing. Vocabulary. Ink. Verb. 서명하다, 계약을 맺다. The company finally inked the multi-million-dollar contract. Landmark. Adjective. 획기적인, 기념비적인. The court reached a landmark decision on voting rights. Bilateral. Adjective. 양자 간에, 쌍방에. The two nations engaged in bilateral trade talks. Unpredictability. Noun. 예측 불가능성. The unpredictability of the stock market makes investors nervous. Robust. Adjective. 튼튼한, 강력한. You need a robust security system to prevent cyber attacks. Pact. Noun. 조약, 협정. The country signed a non-aggression pact to prevent war. Entail. Verb. 수반하다. Getting a promotion will entail a lot more responsibility. Streamline. Verb. 간소화하다. 능률화하다. They introduced new software to streamline the production process. Countermeasure. Noun. 대응책. The military deployed countermeasures against the incoming missiles. Fracture. Verb. 분열되다. 금이 가다. The political party began to fracture over ideological differences. 시사 용어 해설. 포괄적 전략 동반자 관계. 국가 간 외교 관계의 등급 중 하나로 단순한 경제 교류를 넘어서 정치, 안보, 국방, 첨단 기술 등 국가의 가장 민감하고 중요한 영역까지 하나로 묶어 긴밀하게 협력하는 최고 수준의 우호 동맹 관계를 의미합니다. 9-2. Canada joins EU's Security Action for Europe SAFE program. Defense Minister David McGuinty announced that Canada has officially acceded to the European Union's Security Action for Europe SAFE program. This strategic initiative functions as a critical funding mechanism, offering loans to member and partner states to drastically bolster investments in modern defense capabilities. By integrating into this framework, Ottawa aims to fundamentally strengthen collective security architectures across the Atlantic. Furthermore, McGuinty emphasized that the agreement serves a dual purpose. It directly contributes to European and Ukrainian security while simultaneously unlocking lucrative access for the Canadian defense industry to deeply integrated European markets. This alignment underscores Canada's commitment to stepping up its burden sharing within Western security alliances. Vocabulary. Accede. Verb. 가입하다, 응하다. The country decided to accede to the international treaty. Mechanism. Noun. 메커니즘, 기제, 방법. They established a funding mechanism for renewable energy. Bolster. Verb. 강화하다, 지지하다. The general sent reinforcements to bolster the defense line. Capability. Noun. 능력, 역량. The military is investing heavily to improve its cyber capabilities. Integrate. Verb. 통합되다. The new software will integrate seamlessly with existing systems.
Architecture. Noun. 구조. Architecture. The security architecture of the network is highly complex. Dual. Adjective. 이중에, 두 개. The proposed vehicle has a dual purpose for both military and civilian use. Lucrative. Adjective. 수익성이 좋은, 돈이 되는. He abandoned his passion to pursue a more lucrative career in finance. Alignment. Noun. 제휴, 연합. The company's strategy is in alignment with global market trends. Burden sharing. Noun. 방위비 분담, 책임 공유. NATO members discussed burden sharing for the alliance's defense. 시사용어 해설. Collective security, 집단안보. 여러 국가가 동맹을 맺고 그중 한 국가가 침략을 받으면 전체에 대한 공격으로 간주하여 다 함께 힘을 합쳐 방어하고 반격하는 안보 체제를 뜻합니다. 나토, 북대서양 조약기구가 대표적인 집단안보 기구입니다.
9-3. Snowbirds to be grounded following 2026 season until new aircraft arrive. Canada's iconic Snowbirds aerobatic demonstration squadron will be entirely grounded following the conclusion of the 2026 flying season. Defense Minister David McGuinty announced that the operational pause will persist until the aging fleet of 1960s-era CT-114 Tudor jets is fully replaced. The Royal Canadian Air Force has selected the Swiss-made CT-157 Siskin II as the successor. However, negotiations with the manufacturer to append the Snowbird's requirements to an existing pilot training order are still ongoing. Due to these procurement delays and the necessary transition protocols, military analysts project that it could be the early 2030s before the beloved squadron is reformed and returns to performing at national air shows. During the hiatus, the Air Force will support events using standard operational fleets. Vocabulary. Iconic. Adjective. 상징적인, 우상의. The Eiffel Tower is an iconic symbol of Paris. Aerobatic. Adjective. 고개 비행해. The crowd gasped at the dangerous aerobatic stunts. Squadron. Noun. 공군 비행대대. The fighter squadron was deployed to the border. Ground. Verb. 이륙을 못하게 하다. 비행을 금지하다. All flights were grounded due to the severe blizzard. Persist. Verb. 지속되다. 고집하다. If the symptoms persist, consult your doctor immediately. Fleet. Noun. 함대. 항공기 등의 무리. The airline recently modernized its entire fleet of airplanes. Successor. Noun. 후임자. 후속 모델. The iPhone 16 is the successor to last year's model. Append. Verb. 덧붙이다. 첨부하다. Please append the financial report to the end of the document. Procurement. Noun. 조달. 구매. The defense procurement budget was heavily criticized. Hiatus. Noun. 중단. 공백기. The famous TV show went on a hiatus for 2 years. 10. DD India. 10-1. India-US review progress on bilateral trade agreement as USTR visits New Delhi. India and the United States are making decisive strides toward finalizing a comprehensive bilateral trade agreement, a move punctuated by U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer's pivotal visit to New Delhi. During intensive high-level meetings with India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, the delegations conducted a thorough review of core elements, extensively covering market access, digital trade, and the elimination of non-tariff barriers. The geopolitical urgency of these negotiations is heavily amplified by the impending July 24 expiration of a temporary 10% tariff previously levied by Washington on trading partners. Consequently, both governments are working diligently to lock in an interim trade arrangement next month. This phased approach acts as a strategic stepping stone toward integrating their economies and building highly resilient supply chains across critical sectors. Vocabulary. Decisive. Adjective. 결정적인. 단호한. She played a decisive role in the team's victory. Stride. Noun. 진전. 큰 걸음. Medical science has made huge strides in recent years. Punctuate. Verb. 강조하다. 간격을 두다.
His speech was punctuated by loud applause. Pivotal. Adjective. 중추적인, 핵심적인. Education is pivotal to a country's economic development. Thorough. Adjective. 철저한, 빈틈없는. The police conducted a thorough search of the building. Non-tariff barrier. Noun. 비관세 장벽. Strict environmental regulations can act as non-tariff barriers. Impending. Adjective. 임박한, 곧 닥칠. The workers were stressed due to the impending deadline. Levy. Verb. 부과하다, 징수하다. The city plans to levy a special tax on luxury cars. Interim. Adjective. 잠정적인, 임시의. An interim government was formed after the revolution. Resilient. Adjective. 회복력 있는, 탄력 있는. The local economy proved to be highly resilient during the crisis. 시사용어 해설. Interim trade arrangement. 잠정무역 협정. 국가 간 최종적이고 포괄적인 자유무역 협정 FTA를 맺기 전 시간이 오래 걸리는 협상의 특성을 고려하여 합의가 쉬운 부분, 예를 들어 특정 품목 관세이나 부터 우선 묶어서 임시로 체결하는 1단계 미니 무역 협정을 뜻합니다.
Number 10. 2. UN General Assembly adopts political declaration on HIV/AIDS. The United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, has overwhelmingly adopted a new political declaration on HIV/AIDS, renewing the global commitment to eliminating AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. Passed with 149 votes in favor, the document explicitly expresses deep concern that the international community has fallen short of its 2025 HIV reduction targets and is currently off track. The declaration mandates urgent, evidence-based, and people-centered action over the next 5 years, emphasizing the critical need for multi-sectoral national responses. UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Byanyima galvanized the assembly, stating that victory over the epidemic relies entirely on robust multilateralism, sustained international financing, and the unwavering protection of human rights. Progress will be formally reviewed at another high-level UNGA meeting scheduled for 2031. Vocabulary. Overwhelmingly. Adverb. 압도적으로. The proposal was overwhelmingly approved by the board. Eliminate. Verb. 제거하다. 근절하다. The new vaccine aims to completely eliminate the virus. Explicitly. Adverb. 명시적으로. 분명하게. The manual explicitly states not to touch the exposed wires. Fall short of. Phrasal verb. 에 미치지 못하다. Sales this month fell short of our expectations. Off track. Adjective. 궤도를 벗어난, 계획대로 되지 않는. The project is severely off track and needs a revision. Mandate. Verb. 의무화하다, 명령하다. The law mandates that all citizens must wear a seatbelt. Evidence-based. Adjective. 증거에 기반한. The hospital strongly promotes evidence-based medicine. Multisectoral. Adjective. 다부문의. Solving poverty requires a multi-sectoral approach involving NGOs and the government. Galvanize. Verb. 활기를 불어넣다, 행동하게 하다. The powerful speech galvanized the activists into action. Unwavering. Adjective. 흔들림 없는, 확고한. She showed unwavering support for her best friend. 시사용어 해설. Multilateralism. 다자주의. 세계 이상의 여러 국가가 모여 무역, 안보, 환경, 보건, 전염병 퇴치 등 국제적인 문제를 공동의 규칙과 협력을 통해 해결하려는 외교적 태도입니다. 자국의 이익만을 챙기는 일방주의, unilateralism의 반대말입니다. 10.3. G7 leaders June summit to include India, South Korea, Brazil, Kenya, but not China. France has announced that the upcoming G7 leaders summit in Evian-les-Bains will prominently feature guest invitations to India, South Korea, Brazil, and Kenya, while pointedly excluding China. French officials articulated that expanding the table aims to marshal broader global support for rectifying profound international economic imbalances. At the heart of this strategy is a concerted drive to avert a massive financial crisis by pressuring Beijing from the outside to stimulate domestic demand and curtail its destabilizing, heavily subsidized exports. Paradoxically, addressing these structural issues without China directly at the table underscores the growing fracture in the global economic order.
France clarified that it intends to engage Beijing through separate bilateral channels, reflecting the new international reality of managing systemic rivals outside multilateral forums. Vocabulary. Prominently. Adverb. 눈에 띄게, 두드러지게. The warning sign was displayed prominently on the door. Pointedly. Adverb. 노골적으로, 날카롭게. He pointedly ignored her question during the meeting. Articulate. Verb. 분명하게 표현하다. She articulated her vision for the company perfectly. Marshal. Verb. 결집시키다, 모으다. The general marshaled his troops before the battle. Rectify. Verb. 바로잡다, 교정하다. The bank must rectify the error in my account immediately. Concerted. Adjective. 합심한, 연합된. We need a concerted effort from everyone to clean up the park. Avert. Verb. 피하다, 방지하다. The pilot's quick thinking averted a terrible crash. Stimulate. Verb. 자극하다, 활성화하다. The tax cuts are designed to stimulate the sluggish economy. Destabilizing. Adjective. 불안정하게 만드는. The rebel group is a severely destabilizing force in the region. Paradoxically. Adverb. 역설적으로. Paradoxically, the faster we run, the further behind we fall. 시사 유머 해설. Global economic imbalances. 글로벌 경제 불균형. 특정 국가, 예 중국은 수출로 막대한 흑자와 달러를 쌓아두고 다른 국가, 예 미국은 막대한 무역 적자와 빚을 지게 되는 구조적 쏠림 현상을 뜻합니다. 이 불균형이 심화되면 글로벌 금융위기로 이어질 수 있어 국제사회의 조율이 필수적입니다.